When you're done with the actual sources, the reverb is not only the you can add to specific sound like breakdown snares like it can also just like add atmosphere to, like there's a huge difference between a super dry drum kit and adding textures of a room that will make you think of the whole song in a completely different way. If you hear the drums as being recorded in a room with carpets all around on the ceiling and sofas and books and everything is super dead sounding, it's going to give you that kind of mood from the track, but you can open it up with reverbs or room simulations that will change your whole perspective on the song, I think. So this recording was done in my pool, but I muted all the room tracks and kept everything to like close mic. But we're gonna try to make that sound like it was actually in a room, which happens with this little thing. It's based on a preset that took me quite by surprise, like years and years and years ago when I was on the TCM 2000 and I was in a studio here in Aarhus doing some drums and I was dialing through presets and then this one came up and I knew that the studio room had like carpets on a concrete floor. But when I heard this, I just had to get up from the floor and look into the room and see if he actually put the wood floor in there, because it really did sound like that to me. Without the reverb, we'll add the bass drum. And then add the reverb. It already changes the character of the whole thing. Most of the time I keep the bass really dry, but it can also, like you'll hear, be nice to maybe spread it out, especially if the bass is going by itself in some parts. It can seem really narrow when all the stereo information of the guitars go away, then the bass seems really small. So in order to fix that, but again, I'll say it's a really dry reverb I set up. If you hear the bass by itself, it sounds like this. And if I add the reverb, you'll hear the difference. So you can hear it's quite a big difference, but in the music, it doesn't sound like the bass to me is drowned in reverb, although it pretty much is. But it just adds to the feel of the bass, especially in parts where the bass are playing along with the drums, for instance. I don't use reverb so much to change the guitar sound. I prefer it really dry. So when I do use reverbs, I usually try to make them sound as if they're not there. They will create another dimension when I'm using it. So like hopefully not changing the guitar sound at all, but just adding ambience to the guitar track, which will usually mostly be heard in breaks where one guitar will continue the riff on one side and then the rest of the band kicks in. This is what the guitars sound like dry. If you hear it from the beginning. If I play the same thing with the reverb, you'll notice that once the left side guitar goes away, that it doesn't become all dead in your left ear, especially on headphones. I think that's a big deal. And it sounds like this. Or with the whole thing. But again, if I bypass the reverb now that everybody's playing, like I did now, You hardly hear the difference. Now there's reverb and off. Which is my whole idea behind it, like creating something that will fill in holes in certain parts, but won't necessarily be a huge part of the overall sound. The sound comes from the source in this case. So that's how I do it.